If you've been enjoying our podcast as much as we have and hope that we continue past 50 episodes, here's your chance. Here's your chance to help make that happen. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, not only will you help the Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary podcast to live on, but you'll also get exclusive content just for you.
Here's what's in store for you. Join monthly Q&A sessions where you can ask us about anything. Whether it's about our work, personal interests, or advice on your own projects, we're here to connect and share.
Enjoy unique content created specifically for Patreon subscribers, including bonus segments from our shows.
You'll have a say in what we create, and you'll have a voice in future content.
Benefit from exclusive discounts on merchandise and entries into special giveaways. It's our way of saying thank you for your support.
Receive personalized shout-outs in videos, podcasts, or social media posts.
Because your support on Patreon allows us to dedicate more resources to creating the content that you love.
You could join the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast community on Patreon and become a Prairie patron for just $5 a month. We thank you so much for your continued support, and we cannot wait to share our ongoing journey with you on Patreon.
We are extremely grateful for the support of visitsimiValley.com and the city of Simi Valley's belief in Little House on the Prairie and their support of the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
Discover the charm of Simi Valley, California, the home of the prairie. Visit Simi Valley, where adventure meets history and the spirit of the prairie comes alive. Explore the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, step aboard Air Force One, enjoy stunning hikes and savor delicious local cuisine. Whether you're here for a weekend getaway or a family vacation, Simi Valley offers something for everyone and is only 30 minutes from Los Angeles. Plan your visit today and experience the best of Simi Valley. Go to visitsimiValley.com for more details. Your adventure awaits in Simi Valley.
Well, hello, bonnet heads. It is I, Pamela Bob, creator of Living on a Prairie, along with our wonderful, beloved, awesome, fantastic prairie bitch. That's right, Alison Arngrim. Here she is, yes. And our wonderful, beloved, fantastic, awesome, #imaginary boyfriend. That's right.
Just
it's
too
Steve
many
Butler.
adjectives, Pamela.
Take it while you can get it.
When I was working on the Faraday program years ago at Golf Channel, David Faraday is a wonderful writer. I would always tend to overemphasize with adjectives, and he would go through scripts and just take all that out.
Snippety snip.
Take it away.
All right, I'll never compliment you ever again.
Well, no, don't do that. Don't do anything crazy.
Crazy? Nothing crazy. That would be crazy. All right, everybody. We're back again. Season 2 recap. I'm especially excited about today because, well, Dean, had you ever watched this episode before?
No, this is another one.
Another one?
I'm getting
awesome.
a lot. Yes, this is a season 3 episode. But before we do that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I'm just excited because it's a new one and there's some controversy about this episode that we will get to. But before we get to that, Dean, hit it.
Well, actually, what I'm going to hit is the fact that one of the things that Alison and I are involved in, I mean, Alison is still in France and getting ready to come home, presumably someday.
Yes, at some point.
But we have announced an event in Columbia, California, the Little House on the Prairie cast reunion in Columbia. It's in Gold Country, and you can check it out on at littlehousegoldcountry.com. Tickets are on sale. We have a really nice selection of cast coming. Alison, why don't you tell everyone who's coming? I think it's actually a pretty nice. It's the largest group of cast that we've had since Simi Valley last.
Well, you know what? It feels very celebratory. This one. This one feels like we're back. We're better. It's safe. It's legal.
We're back, baby.
We're back,
there's
baby,
news
and things are
about
going to be
that too, isn't
good.
there? I mean,
There's
there
those
really
Yeah.
is
things
news
going
about
on,
that.
and we're like, but yeah, no, this is going to be epic because yes, me and Dean are going, and yes, Charlotte Stewart, Miss Beadle is going to be there. We know Rachel has said yes. We're like, hey, the baby Carrie
I
girls,
think
Baby
Robin's
Carrie.
going to be
Miss
there
Robin
too.
and Rachel Greenbush, they are working girls, and we need both baby carriers, which like almost never happens. And we of course have
No,
our
it's
Andy Garvey,
amazing.
Pat Leberto,
They're
Ketty Lester. Yes, Ketty Lester. Love letters straight from the heart. Yes, Ketty Lester. Hester Soup is coming. Oh my God. And we have a
I mean,
Carter.
she got back to me. So they wrote
Yeah.
to me
They were like,
and
please,
said,
please.
Ketty is
Yes.
feeling better. She really
Great.
wants to get out there again.
Oh,
Yeah, she
I
had
love
like a medical
it.
procedure thing and was like in a rehab thing, and then got her. She's
She
like, no,
was
I'm back on my
really-
feet. I'm fine. Where are we going? Let's
She's
go.
ready to go.
Yep,
She's
yep.
ready
great.
to go.
We got
Yeah.
the Carters. We got Sarah and Jason Carter. We got Pamela Lance, Dave Friedman, Wendy Lully, Jennifer Donati, our baby Grace and baby Rose, and toddler Rose, Jennifer Michelle Stevens. We have like all the baby Roses, like all the baby Caras, and baby. It's like all the baby.
Where's Jeb
Yes.
Carter? Does he ever do any of these?
He's a restaurateur,
twice.
and
He's
he
always-
doesn't really
Dabble in the fan stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't. He did an event
He get like two.
in Walnut Grove, a couple of events, and he was
Lovely.
terrific.
He's great.
He was great. Yeah. It's funny. I mean, look, people have a different sense of this.
Yeah.
We're hoping that other cast members will participate as we move forward with all this, but people make decisions based on what's going on in their life and what their needs are, and so okay.
Yeah.
But we're very grateful for this group because
We've
I think it
got-
sets the
yeah.
table for a much bigger event.
Yeah, for
Maybe.
sure.
We're
a
getting
year.
stragglers. We're getting cast members going, oh, hey, did I miss that? We said, like, do you have to any? Can I come to the next one? So they're coming. I can't come to this one, but call me for the. So they're coming. And people have jobs. People have children. People have grandchildren. People have lives. And so they're like,
Well,
I can't make it that weekend.
and
So-
then
Okay, I want to say one quick thing here because
Yeah.
I know that some cast members are not necessarily. We're trying to, because this is our first event, we are trying to contain this to cast that lives in California.
Got
That
it.
is within driving distance
Are you
of
really
this
close?
location. So
Yeah.
we're just trying to contain the logistical challenge of this event a little bit by doing that.
Yeah.
And I know that everyone's not happy about that, but that's a decision that we made in the interest of the enterprise and getting it started. And so,
And there's
here
people
we
who just
are.
can't make this one, or like, well, let me go see how this one goes, and then you guys call me for that. Yeah, no.
Sure.
We'll get everybody eventually. It's fine. Yeah.
Well, and I will say also in terms of other future bigger events, I know, and this is very positive, lovely feedback, is that, we had Charles Bloom on the podcast a few
Yes.
episodes
He
ago,
is
who
on
Pearly
the
Day
list.
Wilder, and he wrote to us and said he didn't know that people even thought twice about him after all this. He didn't know that there was a fan base that was so excited to see him. As, I will attest to that. I was so excited to see him because that he might have only been on one episode, but it's an episode that everyone
Terrific
knows and
episode.
loves
Yeah,
and
it's a
remembers.
terrific episode.
And, it's so lovely to have contact with these actors who really had no idea that there were people out there that cared at all.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on the
And
party
I think
list.
he was really
going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. he's on
He
the
was
list.
really taken aback by the love. And so anyway, shout out to all you guys about that, because that was really, really,
Totally.
really lovely to hear from him. Anyway, let's get to the show. We'll tell you
Good
what we're
thing,
about to
great
recap.
thing.
But first, from the studios of UBN Go in Burbank, California, this is the Little House 50th Anniversary Podcast. Season 2 recap. Boom, fireworks.
Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo.
Okay, Dean, we are back. And I'm
Yeah.
going to
No,
give this
it's
one
not.
to you. We have some beef about this
What
episode
is
that we will
you
get
in this
into.
show? What?
Well,
I don't know.
Look,
I mean, it's shocking his reaction to this episode. So it is going to be Team Pamela and Alison and
Yes.
Team
Yeah,
Butler.
no, listen, beat me up on this one if you want to. That's fine. So, all right. So we are talking about episode 14 of season 3. This is Little Women. today. Little Women premiered on January 24th, 1977. It was written by Dale Unson and B.W. Sandifer from a story by Dale Unson, directed by Bill Claxton. Interestingly, Bill Sandifer did have a nice career. It's had a nice career. Produced or co-produced 37 episodes of Little House between 1975 and 1977. And this is the largest single body of work in his pretty extensive career. That he did did 37 episodes with us on Little House. And this was obviously before I arrived in season 6, but early on, a special contributor, B.W. Sanderson.
Do you know if Dale Unson, is that how to, anyway, do you know if that's a male or a female?
I don't.
Interesting.
I don't.
I'd be, interested.
It sort of sounds, given the episode, you'd think maybe
it's a woman.
But female writers that I know would be bothered by the assumption that an episode like this would be written by a woman. They would be bothered by that, because you're saying, well, then I can't write a shoot 'em up, violent, whatever it is, whatever, a manly kind of an episode. You're saying I can't write that. So, we're sort of careful. Writers are very careful about that stuff. Alison, synopsis on this episode.
We need a little theme song tag for before Allison does these synopsis.
Okay.
It's the best part of the show.
Okay. Synopsis.
Tony,
this is
let's put
one of
in
the
a little
greatest
stinger for
episodes. Yeah. Dean's like, this episode. I'm like, no, it's a girl episode. What can I say?
We love this episode.
So after Willie gets in a fight with Laura, doing a reenactment of a scene for Robin Hood, the children of Walnut Grove put on plays that's based on their favorite books. Willie bribes his older classmates to do a scene from Tom Sawyer. Mrs. Olson rewrites Louisa May Alcott's Little Woman for Nellie, and shy Ginny Clark steals the show for taking a lesson for character Joe to persuade her mother to
wait a
attend the
minute.
event.
You got to read. You're just sort of blowing through this.
This is so complicated.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Starting at the top, Willie is doing a reenactment of Robin Hood, which indeed there were ballads and legends of Robin Hood going back to the 1500s, absolutely the 1300s. But unless we are to believe that Willie Olson sat around reading the lyrics to ballads from 1560,
from medieval times,
was just sitting there reading medieval time lyrics. The book of The Adventures of Robin Hood did not come out until 1883, almost 10 years after when the show took place.
I'm sorry, 1883? No, the life of the show was 1883.
This is supposed to be like, but remember we had 1876, 1976?
Yeah, no. I mean, actually, he
so
would
it's
have been
still only the 1870s, because later, when they mention Tom Sawyer, Richard Boldy, indeed, my pa says, how about that new book by Mark Twain? Right. Tom, which in fact had just come out, and that was like historically boom accurate. And Robin Hood didn't come out for another 10 years, so like he's reading medieval writings. Okay, so so Robin Hood for some reason, and he bribes his older classmates to do Tom Sawyer, of course, and they want cigars, and that chaos ensues. Yeah. But Mrs. Olson rewrites Louisa May Alcott's Little Women, making Nellie the star, and shy Ginny Clark, little guest star girl, darling, steals the show after taking a lesson from her character, Joe, to persuade her mother to attend the event. This is the complicated subplot that is so complicated. That's where it gets weird.
So I'm sorry, I have to ask this, because this is Little Women is obviously, I mean, my sister read Little Women as a young girl, and maybe still rereads it today. Does this plot have anything to do with Little Women?
Sure. Now, Little Women did come out in 1868, so it's okay. They all totally would have read it like 8 months times. Yes, there is a whole thing where the girl cuts her hair. I
mean, that's the parallel.
Oh, really?
No. Oh, yeah, no.
Okay, so I don't
do
know
you not know Little Women, Dean
I
Butler?
do not know Little Women.
Okay, that's why you're not
into women. But
sewing.
Okay.
You're a big believer of women, but you don't know Little Women.
Getting the money for father to come home, all of that jibber jabber that we destroy badly and torture on stage is technically from the book. Mrs. Olson has kind of glued it together, like in an odd, backward kind of way, so that it doesn't really make a lot
Now
of
it
sense.
makes sense why you're not into this episode, because you don't know. Yes.
Well,
in fact,
wait a minute. Why would I read Little Women?
You've never seen the movie,
boy?
any of the movies
I've
of
never
Little
seen
Women?
any of it.
Never.
As Ruby
Okay,
says
I grew
at the
up
dining
on.
table.
I grew up on all of the versions of the movies of Little Women. So
okay,
I
gotta
knew
go
this
watch
story.
one now.
Yeah, because a big plot of the story is Jo cuts off all of her hair and sells it. And so does
the money.
Ginny in this episode. That's
well,
why
then,
it's
okay.
so special.
Well, there you
That
go.
really
All right.
happened.
All right. So forget everything I said before we came on.
dare
it
you.
all makes sense now.
It's hard because although there are things in the little school play that we do in Little Women that are dialogue from Little Women,
Yes.
it's rewritten and directed by Mrs. Olson and performed by Nellie. So of course it doesn't make any sense.
No, and I
That's just,
also
like, so
particularly
bad.
love when she's introducing it. She's like, Little Women, written by
By
my
my
mother.
My mother, right.
By her mother. Do you like my minding of sewing? My
Oh, your violent
That's
sewing.
my whole
Wait, let's take
disdain
it-
for this.
my Sphinx
All right.
relations.
That's why, Dean, because you don't know Little Women.
Yeah,
I
no.
can't.
Yeah.
This-
So what am I talking about? That was a stupid judgment on my part.
Ugh.
Okay, I have to
I
own
do
that.
like
this.
I have to
This-
own that.
I have
So
to like
much goes
rethink
on
my
in this
entire
show.
relationship with you right now of who I think you are.
Okay.
Okay, let's take it back.
Oh,
We
okay.
meet Ginny.
Yes.
Ginny.
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 Who is amongst an actor, a character that we love, whom we never see again.
Who is
She is in the I believe that there is a vortex somewhere in the universe
She's
of one episode
so Little
characters
House-
just
Little
hanging
House,
out together in the
She's
stratosphere.
living with Reverend Alden's wife that we never saw again. That's where she is.
Right.
Yeah.
You know where she went? You know where she went? She went to the Waltons because she is played by the brilliant Rachel Longacre.
Oh.
And Rachel Longacre wound up going to the Waltons as Amy Louise Godfrey. She's Amy Godfrey from the freaking Waltons. They poached all our best people, Todd Bridges.
They
you know,
really-
did. The
honestly,
Waltons were
well,
poached. They were so
she's
Good
terrific.
choice.
She's got a lovely
And she was on the
sweetness about her.
She was also
She could
in-
also she could also be Charlotte Stewart's daughter.
God,
Yes,
right?
she
She
could
looks
be. Well, certainly with the
exactly
wig.
like her.
Certainly with that wig on.
Now,
no
she was
question
also in
about that.
Circle of Children, which was a big psychological thriller TV movie at the time, Circle of Children, which also starred Matt Laberto, Pat Laberto, Todd Bridges, Kyle Richards, and every child star working at the time that year were all in that movie. And I remember going, why wasn't I in this? They were, because you were fully booked on the series, yo-yo, duh. But yes, it's like she was in all of the TV movies and after school specials that I wanted to be in, but didn't have time for.
So did you know her when she came on set?
I had
Did you know
not,
her?
but I knew of her, and like everybody else, there was this gang of child actors who were like in things all the time, and Matt was one of them,
Yeah.
and so they all kind of knew each other. And I'm like, and they're like, because you have a steady job, fool. That's why you were not in these things. Stop complaining.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know,
Okay, so
but
Ginny
Rachel, we love
has-
Rachel. Waltons, everything. She's awesome. Boom. There you go.
So we are introduced to her in this pains me to say it, a horrible
Yes.
wig.
The first
Why?
of several
Can
bad
you
weeks.
explain
This
this to me?
episode is all
What is
about
going
hair.
on?
All about hair. So the first terrible wig.
I mean,
The beautiful
I don't
Rachel Logan,
understand.
It
enormous
reminded
wig.
me of
Yeah.
it reminded me of the wig that one of the characters in Star Trek wore in a like the Gorns or something. I mean, this
Earthly.
blonde. It was like
Masked.
such an obvious wig.
It was so obvious. I mean, the hairline was so obvious. It stuck up and away from her head instead of lying down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so I know the people on Little House were talented.
Larry Germain was like one of the best
incredible
hairdressers.
And
I
Gladys, and
know.
Gladys.
This
in the
is what I
industry.
don't understand.
So Rachel
what-
had
explain,
normal,
please.
she had
Make it make
normal,
sense.
normal child actress length hair. She had normal hair, but they had to create this thing of her having masses of long
Glorious hair,
to cut
yes.
off and sell to the wig maker. The man who
Yes.
brings Nellie, the second terrible wig in the show, which is a great wig at first, because at first I have beautiful black Cleopatra, because he said, we must have a wig. And they're like, oh,
I
look.
want pearls.
And Mrs. Olson said,
Yes.
now, this is one of the 800 inside jokes. all great actresses wear wigs. Yark, 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 because I was wearing the wig. And so the black Cleopatra hair, which is great. And then I want curls, and then it becomes the fro, and it's so bad. And because
explain to me how they saw this child and went, yep, she looks great. Roll him. How?
Don't know. And then she has the bad short wig, which is terrible. It's supposed to look like
which is almost worse.
Which is worse because they didn't want to, I guess, touch her hair. I don't know what. And so they give her a bad.
But the Nellie wig is so realistic. We see people in wigs on the show, and it looks like their hair. I mean, I just
my wig is stunning.
Understand.
Charlotte Stewart was wearing a wig.
Now, this was still your. This was still your real hair, or was this the wig at that point?
No, this was Nellie's wig.
I was wearing the wig, and then in fact, when they have the black wig on and they pull it off. This is one of the episodes. Hair. It's a big deal. You get to see my hair. I have on the net cap and the pins, and that's my actual hair. She's perfectly lovely blonde hair. But then they put the thing. Okay. Now, that black wig was done. I like that. I liked having dark hair for 5 minutes. And when it got curled and looked silly, I loved when it was long and black. I was like, I'd wear this all day. This is beautiful. Then I got the curls, which looked dumb. However, Gladys Whittencoy, our fabulous hairdresser, who put that wig on me every morning, we all loved, when she saw the curls, now remember, Gladys was older. Our crew was a lot of them, much older people. And she was a fan of Dick Tracy back in the day, the comics. Now, I was much too young to know the old original Dick Tracy comics. I knew like the curtain ones in the 70s. And she said, Dick Tracy had a character, a girlfriend in the comics called Sparkle Plenty. And she was very beautiful. She had pale white skin, blue eyes, and black curly hair. And you freakishly look exactly like the Sparkle Plenty cartoon girl. And so she called me Sparkle Plenty all week. It was fabulous. I was Sparkle Plenty. So I kind of love that way. So I love this. I love all stuff.
Okay, so we see Judy in a terrible wig,
and she's shy. She's much like our stuttering friend, Anna Kim Kurtzman. She's like our poor girl with a bad leg.
In the Vortex,
Kim Richards, all of the people who disappeared who had a problem, and her problem is her mother. Her father has died, and her mother's widowed. They don't have a lot of money. He didn't leave them with any money, and her mother is grieving so hard she will not go anywhere. She will not barely leave the house.
All right. So what do we think of Kay Peters as Della Clark?
She's bitter. She is bitter. She is openly bitter and makes no bones about it. And then,
I mean, she says she wishes she was dead too.
She said, I wish I'd gone with him.
I mean, that's harsh.
She is miserable. I mean, in today's, it would be like, oh my God, we need a therapist stat. This poor woman is really having a problem. She's bitter and she's sad that he left her with nothing and that he's dead. But she's also like really gone off the deep end because her daughter's going, we're having a play. Mom, come this way. Nope, can't even do that. And there's this guy who wants to go out with her. Hey, maybe it is too soon. Again, another strange man taking little girls from Bucky.
I know. Okay, listen. Okay, I wasn't going to bring this up, but it's just because you brought it up. But this is when this really pains me to say this. This is when I'm like, damn it! Sometimes I hate watching these episodes from a contemporary viewpoint and a mature adult woman's viewpoint now, because I look at that and I'm like, is he a predator? Is he going to do, is he getting with the daughter? Does he want to be with the wife because he really wants to be with the daughter? I mean, these are awful, horrible thoughts.
Is he befriending the mother to get the kid? But also, even
that's what I'm saying.
Mom, is he weird that he's going to manipulate this poor little girl just to get a date with her mom? That's also terrible. Like, what is happening? So we're all weirded out by that.
I think this actor this Warren Vanders that they hired to be this guy, I think is such a guileless.
He was great.
There's a real sweetness about him. You just don't feel like there's any ulterior motive other than he really thinks this little girl is special and he's crazy about her mother.
He loves her.
Right, but then the cynic in me is like, that's what groomers do. But I don't want to use that brain. I know. I hate thinking these thoughts, you guys. I hate it.
When he says, my wife also is gone and your husband wouldn't want you to be living like this and my wife would want, and you go, oh, this guy lost his spouse too.
He's a good guy. Yes.
Okay, so he is a good guy. He's fine. He's sweet.
He reminds me of one of the characters from Petticoat Junction for some reason. There's a character in Petticoat, not Mr. it's like a farmhand in petticoat. Maybe William Warren Vanders is
Was
that
it?
guy.
Maybe
I don't
it
know.
is.
Are we all
I don't know.
Googling?
Yeah.
But he seems nice. But the mother is bitter, and it's made very apparent that no, she is having an emotional crisis. She should be going places with her kid, even if she doesn't want to date this guy. It's like, oh, for heaven's sake.
know.
I don't have a new dress.
So
Okay,
sad.
it's Walnut Grove. Everyone's poor. They don't care what you're wearing. It's your kid's play. So she's really having a problem, and that's made clear that she has slipped a little over. She's not in the right.
Now,
this is out of control.
This is another thing, because he says to her that I've noticed your wood is low, and he's offering to chop her. Now, and she's like, hell to the no. Totally. Teenagers pick up line. But here's the thing that I learned from the PBS series Pioneer House, which is they took people from today and they put them in actual pioneer times, historically accurate, and put them there for 3 months.
They were
and at
all
the end,
cheating.
And they're all miserable.
No,
they're all suffering.
Well, they're miserable, all right.
Cheating.
But it's historically fascinating. And they at the end of the series, also our good friend Chris Chaika was the historical
I know.
like
and he told
reference
me
person.
that so many of these families were cheating because they couldn't cut it.
They couldn't do it. I watched that show and laughed at them because I said, "You yo-yos are doing this for free." I had to be paid to live like that.
Well, at the end of the series, the ultimate test is, so someone comes and sees how much wood that they have chopped and determines whether they would have survived the winter or not. And I don't think any of them would have survived the winter. Maybe one family, if I can remember, but I think the majority of them, if not all of them, would have not lasted the winter. They would have all starved and died. So for the fact that this woman, to be like, nope, you're not chopping my wood. Screw it. If I'm low on my wood, you're not helping me. Is a literal, like life or death situation.
No question. Well, I mean, another, one of those things that people would have commented about on regarding Little House for years is the fact that where they were, there was no wood. Yeah, there was no wood. They were burning sod. They were burning. They were burning manure. They were burning hay twists. They were twisting.
Oh yeah, the hay twisting.
Wood was a really, really rare commodity where they were. I mean, there just weren't trees
because they're just in the middle of flat lands.
Now we go to Walnut Grove today, and there are trees. There are beautiful trees there, but this was not the natural state of the prairie to have wooded. And the U.S. government thought that we could turn the Midwest into this great forest. It's just the weather was never going to cooperate with that.
Did people planted trees? I didn't know that. Oh, wow. And it didn't work. They can't. It didn't work. I mean, there's a reason why there are no trees there.
And all that. I mean, people.
Yeah, tree claims. Lots of them. But
people you just couldn't make trees grow there. Now, some obviously did, but this was a rarity to have that happen. And maybe trees have been engineered now to make it more possible for them to grow in this climate. But in those days, people are trying to plant pine trees, and they're trying to plant. It just wasn't going to work in that part of the country. So anyway, it is fascinating, and I love that the Frontier House about coming to check the stock of wood. Yes, that would have been a very, very big deal. Well, Laura wrote a whole book, The Long Winter, that really focused on the
freezing to death.
Yes, on the pressure that these people were under and what they needed to stay warm.
Right.
Huddling around a stove, burning twists of hay to have just I can't imagine being that cold.
I know. And then you think of, other parts of the country where they're living in luxury, and, you think of like New York City during that time, and it's sort of bustling and thriving. And,
they were burning coal. I mean, a lot of, the trains that came through, they were burning coal. That was the thing, that they could get coal. There was lots of coal. You weren't mining it there, but there was a lot of coal to be had, and that's what they were mainly burning.
It's so interesting comparing the Gilded Age in other parts of the country to this life, which was, you couldn't get further removed from that.
And if you read the story, Walnut Grove was having a bad time in the 1870s. It's particularly broke, like further up the road in Minneapolis, maybe not so bad, but in Walnut Grove. Now, this heinous play, and this is what part of set Dean off. He said, that's not Little Women. That's not Little Women. How is that Little Women? It's not Little Women. So when they're designed, and then as I said, Willie mercifully does do Tom Sawyer, which was written enough time before there that Nels can say the new
Right,
book.
because
So
they
that's
decided
fine.
to do plays in school
Cool.
of
Oh, yes,
literature.
good.
They're
Big
doing.
digression we just did. Yes.
Miss Beadle says, well, brilliant, we'll do plays. So they do this thing, and that's how it gets all started with all this hoopla. She's going to go to the play, she's not going to go play, and thing. And then, of course, it's like, well, my mother thinks, and so we can rehearse at my house. And so, of course, everyone's like, no, but you know what? I want to go see the Alison. So, of course, they come over.
And
Now,
wait a minute. Note to Alicia, the only smart one, who's like,
I don't
Nellie
want
wants
to
to
be
do
in a
this.
play.
I'm out.
out.
Yeah.
I am out.
So
She's
I
not a real
announced
housewife for no reason, baby.
that my mother is going to write and direct the play, and I am going to star in it. And of course, when it comes to pass, we give what Mary and Laura each have like one line. Okay.
Yes.
Here's the fun
I also
part.
like how
Why?
they think that Meg is the lead of Little Women, which weird choice.
Here's
Dean,
why
you
I
wouldn't
love
know
this
that because you
episode.
don't
My
know Little Women.
sister's name is Meg, so she would
Love
be
that
the
So
name.
she would, of course.
Yeah.
This actually happened to me in the sixth grade. In the sixth grade, there was a girl. Oh, God, I'm not going to say her name. There was a girl. And yes, she was the Nellie Olson of the whole school from third grade. And we had to suffer through her all through junior high and high school.
Say
and
her
it wasn't
name.
just me.
Say
Wasn't
her
just
name.
me. The other kids at my school were like, man, her. And I said, I'm kind of basing parts of Nellie on her. And they said, thank you. We feel avenged. I mean, it was that bad. So, and her mom was totally Harry.
Oh, boy.
And these two.
Really?
Oi, oi, oi. And she did a play. We had to do a special project for sixth grade, big extra credit thing, like write a little play, write a little skit. She announces that she's got a play. Oh, she didn't write it, and her mother wrote it. And it was for the history class. And Balboa the Explorer. I'm not making this up. I wish I was making this up. Balboa the Explorer, written and directed by the Harriet of her school, starring, and she's like the narrator and this and that. She is like all over. Is she the person, if there was like a regular casting, would have been cast to do any of this? Let's just say, nah.
No.
But she's the star of the whole thing now. And her mother has written and directed the entire thing. And everybody's in it. Oh, and the boy she had a crush on, who maybe wasn't probably the person you cast in the lead of a play, maybe for ability's sake, was suddenly Balboa. Because she had a crush on him and she told her mother to make him Balboa.
Sure.
The whole 9 yards. I was in it.
Oh, boy.
I had been working since I was 5. Yes, I had just completed, in fact, an entire feature film like that year. Yes, I had been on television. I had 2 lines. She knew this.
What were the lines? Do you remember?
And I remember, I remember them. I remember them. I was villager number 2, and I wore a long dress, and I said, yes, he came by our village yesterday. And then said, they went that way. God, he came through our village yesterday. They went that is what I said. That was my 2 lines in Balboa the Explorer in the 6th grade, because the Nellie Olson of our school starred in it, and her mother. It was exactly like this freaking episode. That's why when this happened, I went, I'm in here. I was dying. I was cracking up through the whole thing. And there's, other inside joke.
Yes.
Nellie says, my mother knows everything there is to know about acting.
Yes.
Okay,
right.
we're now in a couple of years, as you know, Catherine McGregor, acting advice, and enjoyed directing, which, as we know, Mr. Claxton, not overly fond of.
Well, Mr. Landon was not overly fond of it either.
Right? She was, and so suddenly there's a line in here. My mother knows everything about acting. And I'm like, and then the
Richard
wig
would have
roulette.
responded to that too, by the way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
The wig
Oh my God.
roulette, which is like a play on the fact that, and the endless, all actors wear wigs because now it's established I've been wearing a wig. Catherine also ad-libs a line that I nearly died when I watched it, which is totally impressive. It's not in the script. When she comes to the door, and it's another one of the brilliant scenes. I'm in did the fright wig, and she's like, what do you said you wanted curls. And I go, well, what'd you listen to me for? I'm just a child. And she says, I'll child you, and shoves me down the hall.
That's a great line.
I'll child you. Oh, God.
And I'm like, So, yeah, all of this was going on. And then we're on stage. And of course, I do like the space relations, like, cups that you do on stage. And so I said, how can I do them as badly as beyond humanly possible. And hence, you see Melissa Sue Anderson is sewing very well.
Lovely.
She's
I
beautiful.
love your
Mindless.
sewing in this.
Sewing. And I
violent. Violent.
And then I go,
She's like a truck driver. You know what? Nellie reminds me of a lot of Miss Piggy. And you know how Frank Oz described Miss Piggy as she was just a truck driver in a dress, right? Like there was nothing actually ladylike about her, really, except the affectation that she's putting on as if she's a lady. And Nellie doing that violent, crazy sewing, I was like, oh, she's just a truck driver. There's nothing delicate or dainty about her whatsoever.
If Little House on the Prairie was the Muppets,
you're Miss Piggy.
I would be Miss Piggy.
1,000%.
Eric Caron, our fabulous artist friend in Montreal, did for a present for me a poster of Little House on the Prairie thing, except it's Miss Piggy as Nellie Olson, and she has a little doll that's Laura with
Wait a
things in
minute.
it.
That is crazy that I just referred you to Miss Piggy and Eric already did that. That's insane.
Everybody knows I am Miss Piggy. Moi? Yes, it's true.
Well, Miss Piggy
Nellie
is
is Miss Piggy.
Nellie. So there you go.
So we were killing ourselves laughing doing this thing. And
so they didn't tell you to sew that way. That was you. No. You came up with that yourself.
I just went there. That's what we decided to do. And Charlotte Stewart, Miss Beadle's face when she sees me in the wig, the take that she does, the look of they're all just like, look at that. Everyone's dying. We're all cracking up. When I did the bad sewing, we broke ourselves up.
God,
the whole thing was one crack up from that. And then when this poor child with the thing in the bonnet and then takes it off, and then there's a third
horrible wig.
And she's cut off all her hair. But then it's like gift of the Magi kind of thing. She cut over here to the dress for her mother who didn't want it and who's already yelled at the guy because she thought
very sweet. It's
so
very sweet
and we
that moment.
Yes, we do all cry. I was crying for sure.
Okay. So what do we think about this? Is one of the key element in the story. I mean, the win at the end of this is that Ginny and Mr. Mayfield and Della ride away together on the carriage. But that's the moment. That's the win in the episode.
Right.
Yeah.
She has at least agreed to come out to do things with her daughter. She's not going to be a recluse anymore. Right. She's agreed to maybe possibly consider dating him. Maybe. And it's implied that
it's a done deal. I think
could be a
family after this. Yeah,
they could get married, and they will be a family, and everybody will be healed because she has lost her father. This woman's lost her husband. He's lost his wife, and they will now be together.
I think what's tricky about this particular story, and maybe this is one of the things that I'm bumping on, is that the Ingalls really have nothing to do with the resolution of this story.
No.
They are barely, Laura and Mary are there. They're dragged into the play. Ma tries to be nice when they say, this is horrible. She goes, well, Mrs. Olson's doing her best, which he's not.
And Ma's one scene is on the floor with a scrub brush, cleaning the floor.
Ma,
and I don't know whose idea that was, if it was written that way. Now, maybe, look, Karen liked to do things authentically, so maybe she said, let's do this.
Scrub the floor.
Now you're onto something because there's a mop gag about mopping the floor, and then Laura has the new mop. Where's the new mop? Yark.
Right.
Did they start talking about the mop scene, and did Karen say, well, actually in 1876, maybe not so much with the mop. She probably would have had to scrub it first with a brush at the very least, and they went, okay, fine, you're on.
That wouldn't surprise me if Karen
and there she is, just sort of draped, beautifully on the floor with this,
looking good.
Yeah, looking good with a scrub brush in her hand.
You may be right. It may be her.
You know what I thought about that too? I was like, the girls are just coming home from school.
Let's stay with this idea for a minute of the two characters, this whole family that we've never seen before and will never see again.
In the vortex.
Is at the center of these three people are completely at the center of what drives the story forward, what makes us care about it at all. And we never see them again, and none of the Ingalls have anything to do with making this happen.
No. Laura doesn't even step up. Laura doesn't even like take the girl and say, hey, you could sell your hair and buy your mother a dress. Laura doesn't say, here, let me get you this bonnet to cover it up until the reveal. It's not even anything conspiracy. That doesn't even happen.
No,
Nothing.
I mean,
Right.
Mary is the one that can sort of gets it out of her at the end and is the one that's like, shut up, Nellie. The play's over.
But I'm sorry, what was the motivation for the bonnet coming off at all?
Because in the story of
Little
Little Women,
Women,
Jo reveals that she has cut off all of her hair to get money.
To get the $25 right? That's what we're talking about, because in the story they talk about $25.
Now father can come home. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's when Laura goes, you didn't really have to cut your hair. What are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then you're complaining that the play's being ruined, but now we're actually having the first real moment in the whole episode.
Right.
They're ruining the play. When I say
All
my
she
law,
cares
shut
about
up,
is
Nellie.
ruining the play.
And Miss Beadle goes, I love the two be quiet. Mary goes, be quiet, Nellie. And then Miss Beadle, be quiet, Nellie. Yeah, just stop.
It's
Just
so
Nellie.
good. It's perfect. What I was going to say about Ma scrubbing the floor. First of all, when you see Ma scrubbing the floor, you're like, oh, that is, oof, what a job. That's got to be tough. But then the fact that this is coming from me, my own personal view. The girls have come home from school, which means it's probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, let's assume.
3, 4 in the, yeah,
3,
something
4,
like that.
which is the time of day
Would you
that
be
all
prepping
mothers are crashed hard.
Oh.
They're exhausted. They've been up. I
Yeah,
mean,
'cause
listen, she's been up
scrubbing
since
she
5
scrubbed the floor in
a.m.
the morning, basically.
Yes.
Is what would have happened. Yes.
So
right,
that's what
right,
was
right,
going
right.
through my mind of like, oh, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She's scrubbing the floors. Oh,
That would have been done earlier. I
that
mean,
pioneer life is woof. That is harsh. Dude, that is hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's also talk about the fact that both Nellie and Willie. Do we need to take a break?
We need to
first?
take a
Should
break.
we take a
right
break?
here.
All right,
take a
we'll
break.
discuss bribery next when we come back from this break. See you in a minute.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents. Explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Throughout the summer, take the Little House 50th Anniversary Tour at Big Sky Movie Ranch. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information. We are so grateful to visitsimivalley.com for their commitment to presenting the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
And now we're back. Yes, we're back. Okay, we were just about to talk about bribery. I just think it's very silly, very funny, and also very sad that Willie doesn't actually have friends unless he can bribe them. And this is commonplace with Nellie as well. You know, like, I'll give you candy. I'll give you with Willie. Those boys are really awful to him, and the cigars are the only way that they will do this play with him.
Cigars and the chaw.
And the chaw.
Give me a chaw.
And Willie is more than willing to do it. But my.
Willie's a very transactional young man.
He sure is.
And Nels notices, remember when Nels at first is happy because when he says something about the big boys, he goes,
Friends.
Boys like him, yes.
Friends.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Willie's finally getting some friends. He's friends with the big boys. They're going to work out, you know, right? No such. And also, let's not forget Mr. Edwards, speaking of child, has that weird moment in this one, too.
With Grace talking about, you tell him what, you tell her what it's going to be. And I love that.
Liar.
That's
He's
a
a
nice moment.
liar.
The line.
And that's what leads Mr. Wakefield to go and with the, and really
Go
get
for
into
it.
it with her. Yeah.
And again, weirdly inappropriate things with the children. They said Little Women, and Mr. Edwards says, "Oh, Little Women. I think I saw her when I went into St. Louis one year." And he is referring to either some kind of unfortunate circus act or possibly a burlesque show of some kind. It's like, what is he actually referring? And Paul's going, and I'm going,
Pa thinks it's
you guys are not
hilarious.
supposed to be talking about that. Whatever it was.
I
still love it.
That's one of the. No, I get it. I get it. And I think, look, you just sort of look past that. But those kinds of moments in today's world, where you're seeing where we are looking at, I think, and not to get overly current day here, but where we are seeing an effort, a very deliberate effort to repress women again in our culture. This is a really interesting thing to have watched in that light. It's troublesome that this is the attitude that is out there. And yet, look, when he thinks that Grace is right there behind him, he becomes a jello.
And that's why I think that moment works, is because
that's the only reason
all
that
bravado.
works.
It's all bravado. It's all this male chauvinistic patriarchal bravado.
Yeah.
And then the second he thinks that she's overhearing him, it's 86 on that one. So I think that's the reason why we can get away with it.
That's
because
why it works.
I don't think Mr. Edwards could never actually feel that way or act that way. He would never get away with that.
The idea that Mr. Edwards would be someone you would even go to for romantic advice is like the most ludicrous proposition, and it's made clear.
Yes. Well, and you can see Charles is looking at him like, smiling, like, I mean, come on, man. What are you talking
kidding?
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of tough talk here, but not. But Warren Mayfield thinks that he's going to try a little of that. Although he does it in a soft way initially with the flowers. He comes with the flowers and he wants to be honest with her, and she just can't hear it.
He did say one thing to her that because I think he's great. I do think he's great. But he did say one thing that I was like, which is, he was like, he died 2 years ago, pretty much. He's like, get over it. He died 2 years ago. And I was listening to that like, ooh.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. There's no time limit on mourning somebody.
Of course not. But I think in the you could look at it in the time that they lived in, where survival, their survival becomes so critical. She has to get off the dime on this.
Well, I was
she
also
expects to survive because they need each other.
Yes,
men and women really need each other in that circumstance.
I was actually thinking in historical terms. I don't think there would have ever been a way for her to actually survive on that. During that time, if she had not gotten another partner very immediately.
Now, on the prairie, they did find, and I know Karen had talked about this, that in many cases, when it was really like big homesteading, like middle of nowhere stuff, that if the guy lost his wife, he was writing back home for a mail order bride, somebody's sister, anybody, immediately stabbed, because he knew, he's like, I have to be out doing this. Someone has to be. I cannot make it without the second person. And whereas the women would sometimes go, I'm going to give it a while, because they could manage for a while, and that many of the women were like, the drunk guy's gone, great, because if they were stuck with like a Mr. Edwards or something. But you see, Mr. Edwards and Grace needed each other, and that worked. And in this case, this guy, he's going a whole 5 years without a wife, which is really long to be a widower on the prairie and not slide somebody into your house. So he really likes her. And because, as she talks about, I don't have money for a dress, I don't have money for this, I have to work all the time, I'm overworked, she does need somebody. Like stat. So, and he genuinely loves her, and he genuinely loves the daughter. So
I find that so interesting that the women were able to survive.
Many women did not.
Where are you getting, Alison? Where are you getting that? That's an interesting.
It's an ancient. We will have to dig this up. But it was during some of the homesteads. If that's why there were a lot of like sole female households who were homesteaders. As well, Native Americans were able to homestead and freed slaves. A lot of people got to homestead and got land who normally would never have gotten land. So there was a lot of that. But there were some women who said, I'm going to hang for a bit, and didn't rush to get a guy. Whereas the guys generally did want someone there because, if you're doing the crop, someone better make dinner. So,
it's been historically the case that men generally like being married.
Yes.
Or need to be married more than women do.
What is it?
I think men need men more than women need men.
Married men live longer than single men, but single women live longer than married women. Or so it's the numbers are bad.
The numbers are telling.
All right. Well, we did.
Nobody could survive alone on the prairie. Right.
Nobody's doing it alone and like doing very well out in those conditions in
Right.
Walnut Grove in the 1870s. Nobody's doing it. Jonathan Gilbert, stellar performance in this episode. Love the paint, loving the paint. Yeah.
Now, this is the first time. Now, maybe Alison, you're in a better position to know this, but for Miss Beadle to send both Willie and Laura to the corner,
very rare.
Happen?
I think I think it's the first time it happened. I don't know if there's a second. There's been one or two. I think I did get sent to the corner eventually once or twice. But,
I loved that
but that's why
line.
he says, "No, it's my corner."
This is my corner.
My corner.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
I think there's I think it's so funny that the brother and sister who clearly, I mean, and Alison, you watch this every day. This dynamic between Melissa and Jonathan was probably pretty much like what we saw there.
A lot, every now and then someone go, well, now weren't they adopted? And I always say, dude, adopted, schmopted. I was there. I've heard them argue. They're brother and sister.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I can
For sure.
I swear to that in court.
There's nature, but then there's nurture, and even if you are adopted into a family, it's the nurture of that world that you are shaped by. Yeah, absolutely.
The classic annoying little brother, like completely.
Well, he is the perfect, like, naughty, obnoxious little brother that he's perfect.
Yes.
He is the perfect, obnoxious, naughty little boy because he's never really bad.
Yeah,
he's just like a
he's
gnat
such an opportunist. He's just a complete opportunist.
Whose side is winning? I guess I'm on that one.
That's it, man.
Change sides. There's been episodes where Willie has changed sides in the middle of the whole thing. Well, she said she'd give me another.
He has no moral compass other than he's just an opportunist.
He is an opportunist, and he's so good because Jonathan was so utterly natural.
Yes,
and yet he had these devious things going. It's really good. Really good.
Yes, he's so terrific. Just the way he runs in, that voice, it always sounds like, to me, he's sort of like speaking in falsetto.
I know.
It never feels like connected sound to me. It always feels sort of...
It didn't drop till he was late in the puberty game too, because that stayed that way for a long time.
Yeah, and suddenly he became this young man overnight. It was during season 9.
Yeah, he went from
a young man.
Like he's whistling through his nose to suddenly, hi there. It was like, it was like that. He was a big mouth breather when he was little. So that's a problem.
Mouth breather?
A big mouth breather.
Yeah, he would not breathe. It's like, Jonathan, close your mouth, breathe through your nose, please. Just close your mouth. And then the day the yellow jacket flew in and stung him in the mouth. And I think that cured him. Actually, I think that was it. I think that was the day.
A yellow jacket stung him in the mouth?
Yes, because Jonathan went around all day
with his mouth hanging open.
And people said, Jonathan, close your mouth. Stop that. Close your mouth. Stop breathing through your mouth. And we said, one of these days, because you can see me with the bugs and the bees. So one of these days. And my God, big yellow Jeff, and his whole face swelled up like a grapefruit.
Oh my God.
It was quite painful. He was crying and it swelled up and they had to set medic and everything. And he poor child.
No, kids are so funny. I grew up with a kid who, I mean, he also had like an open mouth thing, and he would drool. Like it was just so weird, right? It was just so like
sinus thing. Sometimes they're having trouble breathing their nose. I think he had a little asthmatic sinus thing going, and he's
sure. But it was one of those things where it's like, what? Like, just why is this kid drool? And well into his ear, like well past little kiddom, right? And he grew up to be a perfectly normal mouthed, non-drooling person. Like, what? Why? Why does it?
What is that transition point?
Jonathan took an injury. It took pain, but he recovered and he did stop. But I remember for years, it's his mother and Alyssa and I and Catherine going, Jonathan, close your mouth. Close your mouth, Jonathan.
That's so interesting. It so worked for him.
But it worked.
Everything he brought so worked for him. I think he was a little gem in the flavor of all of this. He was so natural. He was he was just all in.
And it was just a
for a guy who
fluke,
never
right?
really wanted, who like was
Yeah.
always looking for a way to do as little as possible,
Yeah.
that worked for him. Alison, you've talked about that for
Yeah, it
years,
was
about how he was always sort of looking to sort of,
Not.
you know, not, yes,
Just
not
Well,
do
he
whatever.
said he never read the script. He
He
just
didn't
knew
want to
his
read
lines.
scripts. He came with
wanted to be
with
surprised.
Melissa at the audition. They're like, and you can be Willie. I mean, it was ridiculous.
I mean, what a fluke, man. That is
he
And
could
you
not
can
read
be
scripts.
Willie?
He was a
he
band.
didn't audition. He was just there with Melissa.
Well, we have another one. We'll have him too. It's, you know, he didn't want to read it. He was a bambino. He didn't read. And then he did learn to read, and he still wasn't reading the scripts because his mother read it to him. And that was the whole thing. Why don't you read the scripts, Jonathan? He read his part. Even when he could fully read, he would just read his part. Why don't you read the script?
What's going on?
I want to be surprised.
When I watched it. I mean, it's like this little
100%.
boy, this voice just kills me listening to him.
It is his voice.
It's brilliant.
It's great. It's great. I mean, just, you know, speaking about Jonathan, when we were all at Simi Valley together,
Just
we
almost
talked
a year
about
ago
this.
now.
Yeah,
I mean, when
almost
this
a year
episode
ago.
posts, it'll be past the year, but yeah.
But Jonathan, audiences, people who love the program were so thrilled to see
Oh
Jonathan.
my God. Like a
Because
rock star.
he is such an indelible presence in those years that he's there, because he is this gnat bug source of annoyance for everybody, and he was so good at it.
Yeah.
So good at it.
So brilliant.
Wow. Well, if we could get him out on the road to come, I mean, we just know that people would be thrilled.
People keep asking about him. We don't know
They
where he
always
is
ask
or
about
what
it.
do we?
We do sort of know where he is, but we don't bug him.
He is sneaky. He is but oh my, when he came up that stage and he let his hair down.
Oh.
And the women said, I'm not supposed to feel this way about Willie Olson. This is wrong.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, he was just a riot. He was a riot. He stepped right back into it, sticking the tongue out, the when he put on the little breeches that he had on, the costume. It's like, oh my God.
What the heck?
He's right there.
Mind blowing. It was mind blowing, the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you said that put you back into therapy, Alison.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going back into therapy. This is too much. My brain cannot handle this at all.
Okay, this is a silly question, but
yes,
I need to know.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson pays $27
That's a boatload of money
for this wig to get it curled. How much is that in current? What do you think that is? Like $1,000? Do you think it's like $1,000 wig?
In
hundreds? What is it?
This is
I
what
would think
serious
many
for.
hundreds of dollars. I mean, people are paying pennies for an egg.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Was it $27? We're gonna say 27. 27. This is just random Googling here. $27 in, we'll say 1876.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Stop.
We don't know. Oh, they believe there's a website that thinks that they know something here like and they're going with that they believe that $27 in 1875 would be $779.74.
I totally believe that, and
Whoa.
that is
definitely a couple $100 off at least.
Yeah, I assumed it was in the high hundreds, if not 1,000.
That's exactly.
Bananas.
No, exactly.
They're saying here with inflation, average inflation 2.27% a year, a cumulative price increase of 2,787%. So they're saying yes, it could be. In fact, inflation rate in 1875 was minus 3.51. Blah blah blah. So So it's $600 each.
Bananas.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of
bananas.
money.
Yes.
Yeah, particularly for just the spontaneous thing, and he's going to put a. Oh, the actor who played the wig salesman. What an interesting voice he had. He
reminded me of like a circus, like a ringmaster type.
Yeah. Well, the mustache and the whole thing, but there was something in his rhythm that was. It felt like such a shtick.
Very Sweeney Todd, very Pirelli. Sweeney Todd. Yeah.
So wait,
if anyone gets that reference,
is this guy? So Rachel Longacre is Clark, Della Clark's Kay Peters, Mayfield, that's Mr. Warren Vander. So who's the wig dude? Is Mr. Who's the townsman? Who is the wig dude? I'm like going, what was his name? I don't know. Oh, Mr. Mason. Mr. Mason. Yes. She said, I sold my hair to Mr. Mason. The wig dude was Mr. Mason, which is Roger Bowen. Roger Bowen. And Roger Bowen, comedic actor, not Colonel Henry Blake in the film version of MASH. It says here that it's Roger Bowen.
Wow.
Yes. Even Cowgirls Get the Blues. Yes. Yes. Kate and Nellie. It appears to be him, Advertising Man, and Samuel Mason. He was on our show twice.
Yeah.
And indeed, it appears he was in everything. Jeff Gonzalez's What's Happening, etc., all in the family. But I'm scrolling, and what do we? Barney Miller, the usual kind of things that one would see. And Love American Style. MASH, 1970. Colonel Henry Blake in MASH in the film, 1970. That's him.
Do you guys think it's better to be a consistently working actor, but not known as a thing, right? So like this, let's take, for example, this actor who's consistently working all the time in tons of different shows, different parts, different characters, but he's not famous. No one knows him for a specific thing. Or to be known for that one specific thing from that one show. What would you, I mean, I guess there are pros and cons.
I think from a legacy perspective, having the one thing is a bigger deal.
I like being famous.
When I can't argue with that.
I wanted to be the word because, as I said, it was just all these kids like Rachel Longacre and Matt and a bunch of people who did all these TV movies of the week and all these after-school specials, all these episodes of Moochie Dryer, the whole gang.
Yes,
and since then, I've talked to them. Oh man, and Katie Kurtz, you got to do this, and they went, yeah, and we were all wishing we'd bag a series and be continuously employed for multiple years in a row. So don't come crying to us that you weren't doing the after-school special. And I'm like, oh, I guess it was grass is greener. The grass was greener on both sides.
Because I could see the benefits of, but there's something to be said about not being famous, protecting your, still maintaining your anonymity, but just working all the time.
I see people like that all the time. I see people in TV shows and go, God, who is this person?
Me too, and I envy their careers.
And then I look and their IMDb is like 100 credits long. And I go, I've seen everything they've been in. No wonder I recognize them. But if I went out in the street and said, who's
Look at Dabbs Greer's IMDb. He has 700 credits on his IMDb.
Well, because he worked till he was like 99 and a half or whatever.
But Dabbs Greer is best known for the two preachers that he played, one on Little House and the other on the Green Mile. I mean,
Green Mile and Us. And marrying Carol Brady, because he did marry the Mother Brady.
So there is something to be said for that. Now, Dabbs is what an exceptional career he had, and just an amazing career. But having that one thing that you are known for, it allows you to be framed in a particular way, which I think is useful and valuable in just in terms of just establishing your space in the world. But no question, how great to be an actor who is being hired constantly, working constantly.
They know you're good.
Well,
they know you're good.
We're seeing that. I don't know if you guys are watching White Lotus, but on this current season of White Lotus, I'm seeing it happening with Walter Goggins, right?
Oh, so Walter Goggins, but he's getting famous now.
But that's an actor who has been in everything, and every time you see him, you're like, oh, that guy, but you don't necessarily know his name. You just know, like, oh, that's the guy from this other thing and that other thing.
He's a really interesting
and all of a sudden, he's on White Lotus, which is,
now we all know.
And now we all, it's going to be really interesting to see now that he's been famous, but no one knows his name, right? He's been famous for 20 years, but without a name. And now all of a sudden, because of this one show, people are all going to know his name. Which is wild,
and you never know.
Been working this entire time.
Yeah. You never know what the thing is going to be. And then we talked about that before in a show where I said, when you become famous, which song will be the hit? Which TV show will be, which way? And you never know. And almost every time the actor performer is going, that one? It's like a train wreck, and you don't know. You just don't know.
Okay, sorry, we got off track, but
we did get off the track. I think we need to head for the exit.
We need to head for the exit.
I
got one thing. Opening credits. I just happened to notice this. In this episode, Baby Carrie, she's sad she's not in the play, the whole thing, but she gets to go. Baby Carrie, I finally did it. I finally freeze framed the opening credits when Baby Carrie falls. Because remember, the story is
you can see the shoes on the wrong foot.
If you push over, you stop. You hit that stop thing, freeze frame, because when she hits it, face plants, her little leg, her little footy goes up in the air.
And you see the foot shoes
and
wrong.
I froze it, and you go, no, wait, which leg is that? That's her right leg. And I'm just like turning myself in my chair, looking at it, going, the shoes are wrong there. You can see this, that's the right foot. That's the left.
Does she attribute her shoes being on the wrong feet
her
to
mother
the
put her
reason why
she woke up from her nap, and her mother they went, quick, give me the twin. She went, and shoved her little booties on and threw her at them.
That had a lot to do with who Carol was, too.
Yeah, her mom. They discombobulated, and the shoes are wrong feet.
Carol was a very memorable character. I mean, she really
their mother
was.
Yeah, she's in my book a lot.
Yeah.
Also,
very attractive woman.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and fun and flirty and all of that.
Gorgeous
she had
and
she had all that going on. And a little, and a little, and I think her girls know who she is.
They know, but that's where she went down. The boots were on the wrong, and you can even see the boots not even really on her foot. It's like coming off. You can see it if you freeze it.
It works so great, and what's lovely about it was Robin, right? Who did it, or was it Rachel?
I think it's Rachel.
Okay,
we have to go check again.
Gets up, smiling. Keeps on, no tears, just gets up, and everyone's yelling and keep coming down the hill. But she was just adorable.
And that hill is rough. That hill is rough.
It's
not soft grass.
No, not at all.
Rocks,
it's rocky. Yeah, it's bumbly. It's hard grass.
I've run down it. I have run down it. It's extremely dangerous.
Did too. Shh, don't tell anybody.
No, see, fortunately, she was so tiny she didn't have far to fall.
True.
That's the good news. And she got up smiling and kept coming down the hill. Good for her. And it's an adorable, indelible moment.
Pro at like 4, she's like up. How many children? This is why we talk about the difference between child actors and normal children. Normal child would have been sobbing hysterically, going, ow, I just fell in the thing and that, and it'd all be up. She just got up and went, yeah.
And kept going. Yeah.
Now, another shout out to Baby Carrie, who
Baby Carrie
once again made a trip to the outhouse in this episode. They couldn't think of anything else to do. Why? That's
going to go tell Ma, but first I'm going to tell Ma, and now I'm going.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, it was running joke,
literal running joke.
Justice for Carrie.
Justice for Carrie.
Justice for Carrie.
Poor Carrie. Maybe who knows? Maybe she had a bladder problem.
We have to do that T-shirt at some point.
Justice for Carrie.
Justice for Carrie. Yes.
Just with a picture of an outhouse on it. Okay, merch idea.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if we could get that one passed.
The picture is of the face plant with the one foot in the air. Maybe that's the picture.
That could be. Could be true. Right. That could be it.
All right. Well, we love this episode. All the bad wigs, the beautiful.
I feel better about it.
How do you feel? Yes. How do you feel, Dean?
I do. I feel much better about it now. I really do. Particularly knowing that there is. See, I went to ChatGPT last night and I said, "Is there a connection in this plot to Little Women?" And ChatGPT came up empty on that. So
really?
Just didn't what was it? And it had to be the hair, but it didn't come up with it. And so I thought, I'm not. So it just tells you ChatGPT doesn't know everything.
They don't know everything.
Cutting of the hair. We bringing father home. We had the money to bring father home. That was a thing. That's all.
Yeah.
You should have asked GPT for the synopsis of Little Women. And then maybe it would have all made more sense.
But I asked for that too. It was not a fruitful search. And this was like at 10:30 at night.
Oh God.
And I'm just like, I'm wiped out. It's been a long day. I'm thinking, how is this work? This is annoying to me.
Desperate.
And I got a little testy last
Prairie
night.
desperation. I know. I've been there. It's like, oh God, we're recording tomorrow. Please help me, internet.
Yeah.
Got
But
it.
gratefully, you two had a good take on it. So, all right. So let's race for the exit, Pamela.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed it. I personally love this episode. It was always one of my favorites, especially as a kid. Loved it. But that's also because I knew Little Women. So I knew the parallels. So there you go. If you haven't seen Little Women, watch Little Women or read Little Women and then revisit this episode and it'll blow your mind. Anyway, thank you for being here. Join us on Patreon. We're going to be doing that right after this, and we'll have a good time. If you're not on, try us out. We're fun, and you'll get lots of extra tidbits. And you can always join us on littlehouse50podcast.com or socials, Little House 50 Podcasts. All of our goings-ons will be in the show notes. So, there's fun stuff happening in 2025 and beyond. Anyway, everybody, thanks for being here. Bob, get the wig. Let's fly, everyone. Down the hill in the wrong shoes. Don't trip, everybody.